Alright, now so in the past video we went ahead and we updated um, the posts with this using this form in here, and now I want to show you something that's really important, which is simply validating the inputs. Alright, so let's say for example that this guy tried to update his his post, or tried to update the post in here, and he forgot something like the title, all right, of the post. So if he clicks update, for example, you can see that the title is gone in here, and it's also gone in the database. All right, so we cannot simply allow him to do this. We have to tell him, hey, you forgot the title, you forgot the content, or even you forgot both. All right, so to do this in CodeIgniter, or to do the validation in CodeIgniter, it's really simple. Just check out the description of this video. You'll find the code. You'll find this code in here that will allow us to simply do this. And validation is not just for text inputs. It can be for images, and it's really important. It's one of the essential things in software development, not just web development. All right, so let's go ahead and do this in here. So I'm gonna just do it in one form and you do it in the other. I'm gonna do it in the create new post form in here. All right, and you do it by yourself in the update form. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and do it now. So I want to grab this code first, this part of the code first, and let's go to our controller, which is responsible for simply storing the posts, which is this one in here. All right, so we want to validate this part, and I want to paste this right at the top, even above simply creating an object from this class. So in here, I have my input and I have my inputs variable, and this variable simply triggers the validate function in here, and the validate function takes in the rules which we simply want to apply to our inputs in here. In this case, only two inputs, the title and the content. All right, so for example, we want the title in here to be required and it to be a minimum length of 7 characters. All right, like that. So these are simply the inputs, and these are simply the rules that we want to enforce. All right, so we want it to be required, so he cannot simply skip it. This is what it means in here. And the minimum length, or the minimum length, I think that this is already self-explanatory, right? The minimum title should be a minimum length of 7 characters. All right, and in here we only want to have a content we only want to have a content input, and this is going to be required, right? And we're simply gonna remove this part. All right, of course the roles are too many. You can simply look them out, you can simply look them up. There are too many of them, but here we just have a very simple form, and this is why I'm just gonna stop right here. So the title input, we want it to be required, and we want it to be a minimum length of 7, and the content in here we want it to be required, and maybe we want it to be a minimum length of 100, for example, 100 characters, right? So these are simply the rules. So in here, we're checking if he defies the rules or not. All right, if there is something wrong with the inputs, um, variable in here. All right, the exclamation mark simply means if this is false. Right, so if there is something wrong in here, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna head back to some kind of view, and this view, it's going to be the same view. So we will need to go back to simply display the error messages right in the same form. So in here, I'm just gonna go create dash posts, which is simply my view right in here, and then I'm gonna set in the validation. I'm gonna send this validator, so this will allow us to simply trigger um, what's wrong with the form and all of that. All right, we will use this validator later in the form, so we need to send it right along with the view that simply has the form in here. All right, so we can use it so we can display the errors. And also we need the session. All right, so I'm gonna start the session. So in order for this to work, we need the session. So I'm just gonna go session and simply instantiate the session class like that. All right, so this is basically it, and the controller part, or the method part. Now we want to simply copy this line in here, and we want to go to the create dash posts in here. Now we want to simply work with the code inside the form. So I'm going to paste this in, and this line in here will allow us to again just have access to the validation method in here, which will allow us to trigger the error messages. All right, so I want to also copy this line, and this line is basically going to be set in the part of the class in here. So I'm going to paste this in. So here's what this line does. Basically, we're saying if validation get error name, if we got something wrong with the validation in here, add this class which is invalid. Right? Otherwise, do nothing. All right. So this should be the name of the input, and the name of the input is actually title, not name. All right, so if we got something wrong, if we got an error from the validation in here, which we just set right at this part, all right, this validation, then we're gonna simply set this is invalid class. All right, so yeah, then this will allow us, again, this will help us by you know, displaying the error messages. I also want to paste this in right in here, and we should add in the name, which is content. All right, so right after this, this is the last part. Copy this part in here, which is actually um, gonna display the error message. So add this part right in here. All right. So we're gonna go if validation get error name. If we got something wrong with the title in here, go ahead and display this error, all right, or display this message in here. All right, so we actually need we need this to be name. We need this to be title. We also need one more for the text area part. So I'm gonna go right in there. I'm gonna simply paste this in. All right, so now we want to go ahead in here and add in the content. All right, save this now. If we go ahead right now and refresh this, let's leave both of them empty. Let's check what's gonna go down. So if we click save, right, so invalid file admins, yeah, of course. So it has a problem with this file name in here, or view name, because we're trying to look the admins folder in here when there is no admins folder. We have the blog folder in here, right? This view is inside the blog folder. So if we save this, let's now go back. Let's refresh this one more. So if we click save now, so as you can see in here, the title field is required and the content field is required. So the validation is triggered successfully, right? And if we simply go ahead right in here, let's see if it inserted some empty new record or not. So it's not inserting right now because we already set the validation right above the logic, all right? So to simply insert the data, now we have to meet these roles in here. So the title is required. Let's say, for example, we are gonna go for post, all right? And the content in here, let's leave it out of the way. So if we click save, so now the error of the title is gone, but the content field is still required in here. All right, so and still not inserting. So we have to simply provide both. All right, so if we go for post like that, and if we simply copy in, if we copy in some text in here, which is actually less than 100, and it's less than 100, and we will define this rule in here. Let's see what's gonna go down if we click save. So as you can see in here, the content field must be at least 100 characters in length. So it's not gonna just work with this rule. No, it's gonna work with all the rules. It's gonna follow up with all of them. So this is why it's yelling at me, and of course, not inserting. So let's now meet all the rules. So I'm gonna go for title. Let's now add this multiple times, more than 100 characters. We click save now. So as you can see, here is our force post, and there we go in here. All right, so it's inserting perfectly. So again, just gonna work this out with. I'm gonna work with this in the create new post form, and you do it by yourself. Consider this in some kind of exercise. You do it by yourself to simply the update form in here, right? It's really, really similar. So yeah, this is basically it, and I will see you in the next video.